Knock, knock. Who's there? You're a nightmare.
Welcome, Creepaholics crew, to another chilling episode. I'm your host, Chanice, and today we deep dive into the haunting story of Katherine Mary Knight, an Australian murderer who etched her name in history as the first woman in the country's history to receive a life sentence without parole. So grab those flashlights, lock those doors tight, and let's creep on down the dark and eerie trail together to uncover the mysteries that lie in the shadows. It's time to keep creeping it real with the Creepaholics crew. Get ready for a spine-tingling journey, folks. Katherine was born on October 24th, 1955, in Tenterfield, New South Wales. Knight's life took a gruesome turn when she was convicted for the murder of her partner, John Charles Thomas Price, in February 2000. What ensued is a horrifying sequence of events that shook the nation. Knight's grim tale unfolds with a series of assaults on Price, accumulating all of the events in February 2000. When she stabbed him in the chest, frustrated and fearing for his life, Price took out a restraining order to keep Knight away from himself and his children. He even forewarned his co-workers that if he didn't show up for work, it would be because Knight had murdered him. Despite the pleas of his friends and colleagues, Price returned home, only to find that Knight had sent their children away for a sleepover. That evening, Price spent time with his neighbors before returning home, oblivious to the impending tragedy. The next morning, a concerned neighbor noticed Price's car still in the driveway. Prompting an investigation, police discovered Price's lifeless body and Knight comatose from an overdose of pills. She had brutally stabbed Price with a butcher's knife while he slept, inflicting at least 37 wounds. The blood-stained crime scene revealed a gruesome struggle as Price tried to escape before bleeding out. The horror escalated as Knight, after Price's death, skinned him and hung the skin on a meat hook. She decapitated him, cooked parts of his body, and arranged a sinister dinner table setting, intending to serve his remains to his children. The macabre scene was a combination of Knight's disturbed mind, marked by notes beside each plate was names of Price's children. Join me as we peel back the layers of Katherine Knight's life, uncovering a disturbing blend of violence, trauma, and psychology. This is Creepaholics, where the truth is often more terrifying than fiction. In February 2000, a harrowing series of assaults on Price climaxed with Knight brutally stabbing him in the chest. Frustrated at his breaking point, Price forcibly expelled her from his residence. On the 20th of February, he took a crucial detour to the Scone Magistrate Court en route to work, seeking a restraining order to shield himself and his children from Knight's menacing presence. The ominous foreshadowing unfolded when Price confided in his co-workers that his absence the following day would signal Knight's murderous acts, despite heartfelt pleas advising him not to return home. Price, gripped by fear for his children's safety, made the perpetual decision to face the danger. Returning home that fateful evening, Price discovered that though Knight was absent, she had arranged for his children to spend the night elsewhere. Unbeknownst to him, the stage was set for a nightmarishly sequence of events. Early on that same day, Knight had purchased a new black lingerie and disturbingly recorded comments while filming her children, an unsettling prelude to what followed. That night, she subsequently entered Price's home, watching television before taking a shower, and eventually waking him up for a grim encounter. The grisly climax transpired at 6 a.m. the next day when a concerned neighbor noticed Price's car was still in the driveway. His employer, alarmed by his absence, dispatched a worker to investigate. What they uncovered was beyond comprehensible. Police, alerted by blood on the front door, broke down the back entrance to discover Price's lifeless body and Knight in a comatose state from an overdose of pills. The blood evidence unveiled a horrifying struggle, Price attempting to escape as Knight pursued him through the house, resulting in his tragic demise. The aftermath was equally grotesque. Knight withdrew $1,000 from Price's account and subjected his lifeless body to unspeakable desecration. She skinned him, hung the skin in the lounge room, decapitated him, and orchestrated a macabre dinner table setting, with notes bearing the names of Price's children. A third meal, discarded on the back lawn, raised speculation about Knight's attempt to consume it, adding an eerie layer to her claim of no memory of the crime. Price's head, found in a pot with vegetables, hinted at the horror that unfolded that early morning. In court, Knight's acts of defile was laid bare, positioning the body in a grotesque manner. A photograph of Price, a blood-stained note conveyed her twisted motive, and I'm quoting from what was said. "Time got you back, Jonathan, for raping my daughter. You to Beck, Price's daughter, for Ross, for little John, his son. Now play with little John's dick, John Price, sick." Again, quoting what was said. At first, Knight wanted to admit to a lesser charge, but they said no. So on March 2nd, 2001, she got charged with murdering Price and said she didn't do it. The trial was supposedly to start on July 23rd, 2001, but it got delayed because her lawyer got sick. They rescheduled it for October 15th, 2001. A citation was needed. When the trial started, the judge, Barry O'Keefe, told 60 possible jurors they could skip out if they didn't want to see graphic photos. Some said yes. After hearing who had been testifying, more said no, and the rest became the jury. Knight's lawyer talked to the judge and got the trial put off till the next day. The next morning, Knight changed her plea to guilty, and they let the jury go. Turns out the judge already knew about the change and had ordered a mental check overnight to make sure Knight understood what she was doing. Her lawyers were planning to argue that she had amnesia, but the shrink smoothly said she was sane. She just had borderline personality disorder. Even though she pleaded guilty, Knight still wouldn't say it was her fault. During her sentence, her lawyers tried to get her out of the hearing some stuff, but they said no. When Timothy Lyons described the skinning and cutting off of head in the court, Knight freaked out and had to be calmed down. On November 8th, Judge O'Keefe said the crime was really bad, and since Knight didn't feel sorry, her sentence was to be life in prison. He didn't say when she could get out, and he wrote in her papers that she would never be let out. That was the first time they did that to a woman in Australia. In 2006, Knight said, life with no chance of getting out was too much. She tried to appeal in June, but in September, Some other judges said no way. One of them, Justice McClaney, said what she did was too horrible for a decent society. There you have it, Creepaholics crew. But wait, Creepaholics crew, our journey isn't over yet. Join us next time for another creepy tale. Until then, keep those flashlights closed, stay on the edge of your seats, and say goodbye to this dark chapter. Keep it creepy, and farewell, Creepaholics crew.
Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
Knock, knock. Who's there? You're a nightmare.